Welcome to Lead Pods, the official leadership podcast from USMB for pastors and church leaders, where our goal is to increase our impact together.
Well, hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of the USMB Lead Pods. My name is Matt Ersman, and we've got a really good show today. Okay, I've got to get my bias out of the way. I love all of our guests equally. I am very grateful for all of the, 16 people that I think we've had as guests up to this point, but I've got to be honest, if I'm playing favorites, today might be one of my favorites. We're talking to an old friend of mine, Sam Hoover, and if you've been listening along so far, you know that usually we try to have someone from the USMB family, an MB pastor or leader of some kind, to talk about some kind of issue that's important in our culture today or about leadership. So I think today's one of the first times where our main guest is not necessarily from the MB family, but my friend Sam is a great guy, and I couldn't think of anyone better to talk about our topic today. So as you are aware, this is a big week in American politics, and possibly American history. Gosh, politics, it's just a mess, right? Like this week is hard. Maybe you're even listening to this as you're considering about voting. Maybe you're waiting in line to vote right now. I don't know. But it's a big week, a big month, a big year in American politics, and it's just rough out there. No matter what side you land on, this is just a toxic time, if we're honest. And so today we wanted to talk about how Christians should talk about politics, specifically online, or maybe a little bit broader, how to be a quote-unquote good Christian online. And it's a topic that I care a lot about. This episode ran a little bit longer than usual, and it easily could have gone 2 or 3 times longer. It's an important topic, but gosh, my friend Sam just had a lot of really great things to say. So Sam Hoover is the global lead of the social media team over at Compassion International. Many of you probably know Compassion. They do a lot of great work around the world. I actually got to know Sam a few years ago. He and I both used to work at Focus on the Family, where he led the social media team at Focus on the Family, and now he leads social media at Compassion. He's very involved with this local church. And honestly, I can't think of anyone better to talk about how to be a good Christian online, how to live out our faith online, and how we should engage in these really difficult, touchy subjects. So, it is kind of a touchy subject, but Sam is just full of wisdom. I think you will fall in love with him right away. He is a lot of fun. So, without further ado, let's take a quick break and get right to some really great content from my friend, Sam Hoover.
Tabor College is a proud sponsor of USMB Lead Podcasts. The world needs peacekeepers more than ever in an ever-changing cultural environment. Our criminal justice degree program is committed to teaching our students the skill of de-escalation with the help of our faculty, which is comprised of seasoned law enforcement veterans. Our criminal justice degree program is convenient, affordable, and 100% online. For more information, go to tabor.edu/online.
All right, my friends, we've got a fun conversation today. I've got a really good friend of mine that I am really excited to introduce you to. So we've got a good and an important topic, and I've got my friend Sam Hoover on the line. Sam and I have been friends, I think it's been about 10 years, which is hard to believe. Sam and I, we've done a lot of cool, just random projects together. We used to work together. Sam is currently the global social media lead at Compassion International, a really awesome organization that hopefully a lot of you already know about. But Sam's a good friend, and he is kind of my go-to guy whenever I have social media questions. He is at the top of his game, especially in the social media Christian nonprofit world. So I'm honored to have a real expert on the line today. Sam, thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Matt, it's really great to talk to you again. It's been 10 years. That is amazing.
I know, it is crazy.
We moved to Colorado in 2011, and we started working. I started working at the same nonprofit as you later that in that spring.
Yep.
And we just became fast friends. I remember one infamous lunch that you and I had with a few other friends, and I don't know if we can name drop Christian celebrities, but we got to have lunch with John Acuff. And I remember, John is a big deal now.
Yes.
And the thing that I remember from that lunch was just how much fun I had with you. Like, it was fun having lunch with John, but I loved hanging out with my friend Matt and having lunch with him. And yeah, we've had some fun times
Yeah.
in the years, and it's good to talk to you again. And I'm happy to talk social media. I love social media. I hate social media. It is a double-edged sword. I'm sure we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But thanks so much for having me on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, I think you and I were on the Jumbotron at a Rockies game, if I remember correctly. And
Yes, that's right.
and we also saw you two together at a concert in Denver. So we've had a lot of great times.
Dude, I totally forgot about the Rockies game. Being on the Jumbotron and doing we were sitting on the third balcony, first row, doing some crazy dance in between innings, and all of a sudden you scream and we're on the Jumbotron. That's so great.
Good times. Well, Sam, like I said, hopefully most people know about Compassion, but why don't you give everybody just an overview of what Compassion is, what you do there, a little bit about your family, just give us a quick little bio.
Great. Compassion International is a Christian nonprofit based here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Our mission is to release children from poverty in Jesus' name. We serve 2 million kids in 25 countries around the world who live in extreme poverty. These kids attend a church center at least once a week where they are fed a nutritious meal. They are taught a lesson straight out of the Bible, and then they're given life skills that will help them to develop into healthy adults. Compassion has been around for 50 some odd years. I've only been part of it for the last six and a half, working in social media. As you said earlier, my title right now is the Global Social Media Lead. So I coordinate all of our marketing offices around the world and their social media efforts, whether it's creating memes on Facebook or creating videos on YouTube or TikTok. We run the gamut of social media experience, trying to just create unified experiences across every channel for every neighbor.
And again, Compassion is one of my favorite organizations. I've kind of been involved for a while, and I love the mission and love what you guys do. And it's a great organization that I'm proud to know that you're there, because I know you do just a lot of really great work there. And you've done social media for years, back when, a lot of this was just starting off. I know you've got a lot of experience leading a lot of different nonprofits through social. So you really are kind of the perfect person to talk with today. Man, I've got more stories I wish we could recap. We got to get moving here because we got a lot to tackle. So Sam, we're currently recording this early October, and this will come out probably around election time. So you and I, a lot can happen in 2 or 3, 4 weeks. Who knows what the world looks like by the time this is hitting people's phones and iPads or whatever. But especially this year, it's just a crazy, crazy time, right? I mean, obviously the coronavirus stuff, the racial stuff, it's just been a hard year. Politics stuff just seems like it's getting crazier and crazier and more out of hand. And I don't know about you, but I tell people sometimes I feel like politically homeless. Like I don't really feel like I fit in anywhere. It's just a mess. And one of the hardest parts about that mess is knowing what to do about that online, right? How do you represent Jesus well online in really turbulent, toxic times? What's our responsibility to speak up about injustice, or when is it better for us just to be silent and not add to the noise? Those are hard decisions to make. So that's where we're kind of headed today. But first question for you, Sam, is do you have any kind of rule or guidelines that you try to hold yourself to? Like, do you just blanket, I'm not going to talk about that stuff? Or do you have anything that you kind of use to guide your own conversations?
Oh man, that's such a loaded question, Matt Erzman. I personally, I stay away from posting my political opinions on my personal social media channels for a variety of reasons. But I think primarily because social media is a relationship tool. Like I said earlier, it's a double-edged sword. Just like every relationship can be a double-edged sword. Sometimes it can be really, really good, and sometimes the relationship can be really, really toxic. Social media isn't the relationship, Yes, we do have a relationship with social media, and we can talk about that in a little bit. But social media helps connect people digitally. And it is difficult, as you well know, to connect with people just in real life. And when you strip out some of the nuances that relationships need in that person-to-person context, it can make social media and how you relate to people really, really tricky, really difficult. So I've been involved in social media for 10 years, 12 years now, professionally, and I've realized a couple core truths. One is, and this is probably the only truth that I really need to need to go into. I have never changed anybody's opinion about anything significantly by posting something on social media.
Right.
I think it's good to be informed, and I think it's okay to share with people the things that you're learning and the opinions that that you have. But for the most part, every time that I've done that in the past, it hasn't led to really good, healthy discussion and conversation. And so this political season, as I have the last few political seasons, I've stayed off of sharing my personal political opinions on my social media channels. It's just my personal preference. It's not I wouldn't say this is what everyone needs to do or what everyone should do. It's just what I do.
Yeah. Yep. That makes sense. And I think what's hard is when we get into politics, when we talk about things like, whether it's, abortion or immigration or any of these like really hot button things, a lot of the things that you see shared on social media are about things like that because people care really deeply, right? They're big topics that people feel like I have to do something about this injustice. Like whatever side you land on, we've all got strong opinions. And my pastor often says that none of us are wrong on purpose, right? Like we all think that whatever we think is right, or else we wouldn't think that, right? So can you talk to someone, especially if they've got a little bit of like a justice bent, where they're just like, how the world that I'm seeing is not okay. I need to do something, and it's important that I get my opinion out because we've got to do something. Like there's an element of good there, right? But how do you weigh that with not just causing trouble?
Yeah, there is definitely an element of good. And I think you hit on a couple of points. And the primary one is I think this. Social media really promotes brevity, right? The ability to share your opinion or your experience in one or two sentences or a couple of short paragraphs. Yeah. That's really encouraged. I don't know about you. I don't read a lot of long posts on social media, especially from my friends. I might read, the first line or the first couple of lines, and then I'm on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And so social media has really trained us to be succinct. Now, the problem is, like you said, these issues of justice, whether it's about life, whether it's about immigration, whether it's about poverty, these are really complex issues. Yeah. And so you have these complex issues that we are encouraged to communicate about very briefly and very succinctly. Yeah. I don't think we're able to do these complex issues any justice on social media, in any given post. And so what ends up happening is we've reduced the argument down to, here's my opinion on it. Here's where I've landed after hopefully looking at all the facts and reading and research and about this massive issue. Here's my one thing I have to say about it.
Right.
And so I read your one thing and I think, oh, well, either I agree or disagree, but your one thing doesn't do any justice to the complex issues of these topics. And so it's become a real challenge because we've taken a lot of the nuance of these conversations and the complexity of these issues out of the equation.
And one thing that's just so complicated is like the point about brevity, I think, is really important. I'm glad you brought that up. But on my and just so I'm clear from the outset, I feel like I have zero answers. If it feels like I have any answers, I've got zero answers. That's why I'm talking to my friend Sam here. But one thing I wrestle with, and this is kind of cheesy. I don't want to go too far in the cheese here, but like I sometimes I really think like, what would Jesus be doing right now? Like, would Jesus would he be tweeting about whoever, or would he be tweeting about whatever issue? And because there's part of me that's like, well, I don't know if silence is the right answer. Like, I know that we obviously need to choose words very carefully, and sometimes throwing our opinion in there is all it's going to do is just stir the fire, and that's not good. But to me, it seems like silence might do just as much damage as not saying something on the other end. So again, we're just kind of continuing the same train of thought here, but what do you think about the idea of being silent? And does that ever actually do more damage than good?
Yeah, absolutely. It can, especially if you feel like the Lord is asking you or telling you to speak up.
Yeah.
Inaction can do a lot of damage, especially if you feel like you need to be active, you need to act. I don't know if Jesus would be tweeting. I don't know if Jesus would be TikToking and doing dances. What I do know is Jesus would be in step with his Father, in step with the Holy Spirit, and constantly checking himself against what he knows to be true, that his Heavenly Father loves him and that his Heavenly Father wants to bring God's kingdom here on earth. And so I think the question of, should I be silent? Should I say something? Should I act or should I do nothing? There can't be just a broad, a big thumb down that says this is the answer. No, the truth is the answer is different for you and it's different for me and it's different in every circumstance. And that answer is, what is the Lord asking you to do? What is he asking you to be obedient in? Both the big things, big life decisions of, career and moving and all the way down to the little decisions of, should I post this? Should I share my opinions? Should I respond to my family members, post?
Yeah.
Or should I not? Like, I think, and from my experience, I know that the Holy Spirit is concerned with our hearts and our motives and our actions. And that can be both in the big issues, and it can speak all the way down to the small ones.
Mm-hmm. And one thing that I have to remind myself of sometimes is that speaking up doesn't necessarily have to look negative, right? Like the people that I really admire on social media, they are speaking up, but they're doing it in a way where they're sharing truth in a positive light that, honestly, there's some things you just can't argue. And so just shedding a little bit of positive light on social media has maybe never been as important as it is right now. And that takes skill. Like, I'm not sure if everybody has, like, crafting words that are healing in a time of so much division. That's a skill that not everyone has. And it requires a thought process that is a lot deeper than just typing out your rage when you see something on TV. So, would you agree with that? That's like choosing to put some positivity on social media. Is that something that you agree is important? And are there other ways that we can do that?
Oh, of course. No, and you're absolutely right. It is a skill. But it also, it's a practice, right? Like you have to practice these skills. And so sometimes you're going to practice this skill, and just like my kids practice the piano, and it's going to sound terrible. It's going to sound clunky, and it's going to sound out of tune, or they're going to hit the wrong notes, and it's just going to sound bad.
Yeah.
And sometimes what you're going to post is not going to come across the way that you wanted it to come across. Mm-hmm. It's going to be more wordy and not as succinct as you want it to be. Or, sometimes you verbally process through typing. Yeah. And sometimes you say things that, well, I don't necessarily believe that, but through the process of communication, I'm kind of coming to this final point. But, everything in love, right? Like I really think that's the key. Caring about your neighbor, caring about your family, and caring about yourself as well. I think a lot of this discussion about social media can really be boiled down to loving the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and loving your neighbor as yourself, right?
Yeah.
It can't, the answer, the solution can be as easy as succinct as that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm really glad you just brought up verbal processing. So that reminds me of something I wanted to ask you. So I've been doing social media professionally almost as long as you have, but I find that I make a lot of mistakes. And so I recently made a mistake. I wish I could take it back. I posted something political, I think for like the third time in my life. Someone said something that as a Christian, I just wasn't really okay with. And so I posted a little thing about something I saw in the news that was frustrating to me. And I got instantly just attacked, and family members were saying rude things to each other. And it was just, I immediately was like, oh yeah, I shouldn't have posted that. But in my mind, I'm glad you said verbal processing, because sometimes I need to process some of these things. And in my mind, I was like, you know what, this specific thing doesn't feel right to me. I wonder what my friends and family feel. Like that was kind of my thought process, but it was quick. I was quickly discouraged that that wasn't possible, that that can't really happen right now. It seems like if you post something that's going to ruffle some feathers, you're probably not going to have a healthy discussion, right? So even if your goal is, man, I'm seeing some hard things and I need help processing this, that can go the wrong way and be misinterpreted. So how do you think, is it ever healthy to verbally process on social media? Or is that just, if it's remotely controversial, that's just the wrong platform for those conversations?
Well, I would consider a channel like Twitter to be like verbally processing, right? Like Twitter there's never a solid end to a conversation or a solid end to an argument. It continues to evolve, and it continues to morph. And so I think what you in your experience, I think you're getting a little bit more mature in your experience, and realizing that, okay, maybe social media isn't necessarily the place to verbally process or to process, my thoughts and feelings about this issue.
Yeah.
But you still feel like I need to process this somehow, some way with someone. Feel like take that conversation offline. Like that's the perfect time to pause before you post,
Mm-hmm.
and identify a few trusted friends, trusted relationships that you can go to say, hey, just let me process something with you in a safe environment, because social media is not a safe environment. Let's just be honest. As much as we'd like for it to be, and as much as it has been in the past, it certainly isn't now. Mm-hmm. And it may not be a great place for you or me or any of your listeners really to process their thoughts and feelings, one post at a time. You just have to take it with a grain of salt.
Yep. Okay. Well, and kind of similarly, on a similar topic. So let's say you or I see a friend or a family member who posts something that maybe you or I feel like is, whether it's inappropriate or not, it's maybe just not a good idea to process or to post that publicly. Have you ever talked to a friend or a family member, especially right now when it's so hard to know what's real? Like I've got some well-intentioned people who are sharing things that aren't true, especially right now. So do you ever feel a responsibility to kind of call some of that activity out, or is that just not our place to do that? What do you do when you see your friends and family doing those kinds of things?
Oh man, that's a great question. I think my action is going to hinge on what my non-digital relationship with the person looks like. Mm-hmm. Right? If it's an aunt or an uncle who I haven't talked to in years, and they post something, mm-hmm. I don't know if I'm going to, pipe in and say, actually, mm-hmm. or at least I'm not going to comment on their post publicly and say, actually, this is what I've learned. This is what's true. This is what's right. I think you really have to take your cues off of your real life relationship and let social media be a mirror of that. But again, I think it also kind of goes back to being in step with the Spirit. Mm-hmm. If that aunt or uncle posts something and you feel something inside of you well up to say something, that's good. And I think you should say something, mm-hmm. maybe not immediately. Maybe it's a good chance to hit that pause button and mm-hmm. to gather your thoughts, gather your feelings, and maybe write out a response or two and make sure that it is appropriate, make sure it's loving, make sure it's caring, and it has the other person's needs and their heart and their soul as a caring for them as a priority before you actually post something, before you knee-jerk reaction and post a comment and say, as a matter of fact, actually, because we've all seen those kinds of interactions with other people, or maybe we've done it ourselves, and they haven't ended in a very good place.
Right. Yeah. Again, so that we're just kind of leading right along the trail that I had planned here. So, have you ever gotten to the point where, or maybe you have seasons of rest or something, where you just get off social media for a while? Do you delete the apps from your phone? Do you ever find that you just kind of need a cleanse from that? Because I know I feel that way. Like right now, I deleted all the apps from my phone several weeks ago, and I just needed some time away. Like I was, it's easy to get addicted and just scroll, that's part of it. But I was just getting tired of just the toxic, negative stuff and just the way it made me feel and the way it made me interact with the people that I love. Like I recognized to myself that I don't need this right now. Has that happened to you, or do you have seasons where you do that on purpose?
I wish this was a video podcast because you could see the stink face that I'm making, dear listener. Yes, absolutely. I don't have a set practice of taking social media fasts. One is because my job depends on me knowing about social media trends and technology, and so I may not have the luxury that a normal person would have. However, I think it's very good. I think it's very good to take those breaks. Yeah, it's probably time that we all take a little break from social media. To take a day, a week, 2 weeks, and just delete the app and kind of reset and reboot. And I think one of the reasons I think we need to understand why these breaks are necessary is to really understand what is it about social media that makes it so addictive, because that information can help us become better social media users in the future. Social media from the very beginning has always encouraged conversation, has always encouraged relationship, but the way that they do it has evolved, where now in 2020, anytime you get a comment or a like or someone tags your picture, we get notified of it.
Right.
And these notifications are meant to cut through whatever we're doing, to interrupt our daily lives, to say, hey, this has happened. You might want to look at it.
Yeah.
And so naturally, it's now become a habit. We get these notifications, we pick up our phones, we pick up our device, and we read the notification. These notifications, if you, can you imagine, like in real life, if someone was talking about you and you got a real life notification, let's say you're working, or let's say you're asleep, and like all of a sudden someone comes up and just slaps you in the face and says, hey, your cousin just said something about you.
Yeah. Or knock, knock, knock. I like that.
Yeah. Right. Like it's rude. It interrupts our our daily life. And I don't think I struggle with that. I struggle with that addiction. I struggle with those notifications. And so even the act of turning off your notifications to control and reclaim your screen time, reclaim your social media, I think is really mature. It's really healthy. Yeah. So notifications is one thing. But the other thing is that these social networks, these social media channels are built on algorithms that will take your actions, the posts that you like, the people that you engage with, the pictures that you pause a little bit longer, or the text that you read. These social media networks are actually built to understand the difference between, is this a picture of the sports team that I like, or is it just any other sports team? Oh, if it's a sports team that I like and I spend more time on it, the algorithm then learns oh, well, I should send Sam more pictures, more content from the team that he likes.
Yeah.
And so it feeds into this overuse of your device, overuse of social media. And again, it kind of becomes addictive because you start seeing content that you like, you start seeing content that you agree with, and then soon enough, the algorithm has learned so much about you, your opinions, your likes, and your dislikes, that they only serve you content that is content that you're going to engage with.
Yeah.
And so very quickly, you don't see. I'm a Cardinals fan. I don't see Cubs content, right?
Yeah.
I
right.
don't see content from the other side because that's how the algorithm is built.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you look at the political landscape, when you look at our political conversations, the same thing is true. The news sites and topics that we agree with, that we like, that we share, that we comment on, the algorithms then realize, oh, well, you believe this about this topic, so we're going to send you more content that aligns with that belief.
Right.
And so you never see anything from the other side unless it is, attacking the other side, which you probably would want to do because you believe this over here. Yes. So understanding how these algorithms work, understanding how these notifications work, that's the first key to being able to reclaim our screen time so we can have these Sabbaths, so we can have these moments of rest, so we can have some normalcy back in our lives and really reclaim the ability for social media to be a positive influence on our lives and not a negative one.
And those are great tips. Listener, go rewind and listen to that again and do it because that's really good advice. And again, Sam, I like where you're going with that too, because social media has just changed so much, right? Like since when you and I used to just goof off, post some goofy things 10 years ago, it's just a different world. And I'm sure you've seen the Social Dilemma thing on Netflix. Probably some people listening probably have too. And I mean, it's easy to get, a little spooked out by how much data these people have about us and they're kind of profiting off of us. And it is kind of a dark, if you get too down that wormhole, it's dark and kind of depressing to think about all that. But we started off this conversation by saying social media is a tool, right? Just like the pen is a tool, a piece of paper is a tool, social media is a tool. How where are you currently at with social media? Where do you think it's going? Like, are you kind of depressed and bummed out right now with all of this? Or what are some of the positive things that you're seeing? Because I'll speak for myself. I post way less now than I used to. I used to post all the time, and I'm just not anymore because it's just icky, and I don't like what else I'm seeing on there. Like, so tell me where you're at with social media today.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. My social media habits have evolved over time. They've evolved even in the last over the last few years. They've matured. I think they've matured.
Yes.
Right. As we're growing older, Matt Erzman, we are realizing the folly of our youth and just how dumb we were.
Yeah.
And we realize we're still dumb.
Oh yeah.
But we're not gonna. But we're much more hesitant to actually say something to reinforce people's opinions.
Yeah.
And of our dumbness. I'm with you. I post a lot less. I listen. I read a lot more. When I look into the crystal ball of social media, I'm cautious about it. I'm not optimistic about it, but I'm not pessimistic about it. I think I'm realistic about it. Mm-hmm. I think I have benefited in a lot of ways through social media. Not only have I built a career upon it, but I've built relationships upon it. Yeah. I've seen lives impacted because of it. I've seen lives saved because of it. Yep. Genuinely lives saved because of it. But I also see the opposite of it. I've seen lives put at risk. I've seen lives destroyed. I've seen marriages destroyed because of it. Yep. And I think I don't pine for the old days. I don't pine for the days that, the good old days. I'm not on a platform to make social media great again. What I am on a platform is for us as social media users to become more mature, to become more Christ-like, and to continue to love our neighbor as ourselves, whatever way that looks, whether that's through social media or whether that's offline. How that's going to play out, what role social media is going to play, if it's going to continue to drag society down with it, I don't know. I'm realistic about it, but I don't think I'm smart enough to actually say, hey, in 2 years or 5 years, this is where social media is going to be. I'm not that, like I said, I'm pretty dumb, but I'm smart enough to admit it.
Oh, but you're also the global lead of a very large organization, so don't be too hard on yourself. But I hear what you're saying.
Well, that's true. I think maybe I should put a caveat now if my boss is listening to this. I love social media. I think social media is the future. And I think I am the right person to
Perfect.
I think to reiterate, I still think that social media is a relationship tool.
Yeah.
We will always have relationships with people. We will always have relationships both digitally and in real life. How that plays out, whether social media is the future of relationship building and relationship maintaining, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, it's very messy, very, very messy. So, okay, our time's going fast. I want to get at least a couple more things in before we have to run. But one thing, Sam, I may end up cutting this. I don't know. But one thing that I think about with social media right now, I'm just curious if you ever think about this. One of my favorite things about it is I post a lot of the time for myself and that I just want to remember in my life, right? Like one of the biggest things for Facebook and Instagram for me is to scroll back and see, oh yeah, that was my daughter's birthday. We had a lot of fun. Or, oh, that's when I got to see my friends and that was really cool. And sometimes I get in the trap that we all do sometimes where I want to know how many likes I have. Like I'm humble enough to admit that that's part of it. But I also sometimes I post only for my future self, right? I want to remember these moments that I'm in. And so going back to the politics stuff a little bit, there's part of me that for my own preservation or whatever, but also for my future family, like when my kids are learning about 2020, 10 years down the road, they're learning about coronavirus and politics and race relations. There's part of me that wants to be like, here was where I was. Here's where your dad was at during a really hard time. I wasn't one of those people that you're reading about in your textbooks who was doing a lot of really horrible things. Like, this is how I was thinking. This is how I was processing. And I didn't believe what the majority of people said. Here's what I was thinking. Here's how I was learning, how I was growing. There's a part of me that wants to document that just for my sake and my family. But again, I know that there are other ways to do that. Does that kind of like scrapbook mentality come into your mind at all? Does that ever come into your thought process as you're posting things?
Oh yeah, sure. And I think that's a really natural use of social media. And I think it's a really positive use of social media. I mean, for generations, we've been journaling and writing, documenting where we are so that we can look back and see where we've been.
Right.
What's the saying that people who forget history are doomed to repeat it? Something like that.
Right.
I think that this is a really common and a really wise use of social media. So you can look back and say, oh, we were here. Remember when we did this?
Yeah.
Or, remember when, or you look back and you say, oh, remember when I thought this? Well, that was dumb. I don't think that anymore. But we want to document, or we want to remember, so that we can see progress, we can see growth, or we can see change. The other side of it, I love the idea of using social media, not just to record your own memories, but to record memories for your kids or for your families. When I grew up, we had photo albums. We had these massive, like 6-inch thick photo albums. And man, I would pour through those photo albums probably once a month and just look at the same pictures over and over and over again. And I would ask my parents, Mom, Who is this again? Dad, why did you wear this then? This is the same mentality. These are the same habits we have now of capturing our past or capturing our present so that we can preserve the future. Mm-hmm. And then finally, I love the idea of using social media, sharing those experiences with your family, specifically with your kids, and to look back and remember and celebrate the times that the Lord was faithful, the times that you were obedient. Man, the stories, the rich, rich stories that we can pull from our past and that social media can remind us of is so healthy, so important, and can really help solidify our kids' relationships with the Lord and our kids' relationships with the Holy Spirit through our testimony, through our experiences, and what the Lord has brought us through. With our kids, we can look back and say, look what the Lord has done. Time and time again, picture after picture, Instagram post after Instagram post can be a ringing endorsement of the Lord's goodness in our life.
That's really good. I really appreciate that perspective. All right, Sam, you and I could talk probably for days or years on this. Last thing, I want to get you out on this, and you can fill in any gaps if you want to hit anything we haven't hit yet. But just as we kind of recap, could you hit some of the highlights again for us and just give us a summary of if someone is legitimately trying to be a good Christian online right now? What are just some of your main takeaways for someone who, like, they have a good heart? They're not trying to cause up trouble. They're not trying to, push their party or whatever. They're trying to represent Christ well online. Wrap us up with just some reminders of what you've already said or anything else you want to share with us.
Yeah, if you want to be a good Christian online, it starts with being a good Christian offline. It starts with having a relationship with the Lord, studying and learning about Jesus, having a daily, ongoing community with the Holy Spirit in your own personal life that then bleeds into your every aspect of your life, your online life, your social life, your family life, your career, etc. It all starts there. It all starts with, if you want to be a good Christian online, you got to be a good Christian offline. Mm-hmm. And two, I would challenge anybody to make sure that the issues that you are passionate about online, you are just as passionate offline. If you want to talk about being pro-life, if you want to talk about immigration, if you want to have an opinion online, you better be doing something about it offline. Yeah. Your actions have better be matching your words, because if they're not, you are losing your reputation. You are losing your ability to speak with any authority on any topic.
Right.
You are truly losing your ability to relate and to identify with humanity if you aren't willing to actually do something about the issues that you are talking about online.
Yeah. Gosh, that's really, really good. Just some of the things that you said that I want to remind myself and everybody listening. Man, it's so simple, but just, take a second before you post. Before you hit the button, just slow down. Why are you posting this? Is this a good idea? And I'm talking to myself as much as everybody else. Like, why are you posting this? Stop. Don't post immediately, especially if you're angry or worked up about something. It's not going to end well. So pause. I am learning the importance of taking some breaks every once in a while. You don't have to have these apps on your phone all the time. Get off of there. And even like Sam and I, we both have to do social media for our jobs, but I'm finding ways to do it even without the apps on my phone. So there are ways, even if you quote unquote have to be there, there are ways you can get off. And look for some positive things you can share. Don't harp on only the negatives. Look for the positives. And I love what you just said, Sam. If you're a good Christian offline, you're going to be a good Christian online. And if you care about things online, you better care about them offline. I think if we could wrap it up, I think those are all really important things that I wish myself and everybody, we can all grow in those areas. So, Sam, you're the man. I wish we could just keep talking for hours and hours, but thank you for doing this, man. You're very wise.
Oh, I appreciate the thoughts. And yeah, like you said earlier, we're recording this in early October. Who knows what's going to happen in just a matter of weeks before this comes out. But hopefully this will be an encouragement to your listeners. I know I've been encouraged. I'm always encouraged talking to you, Matt. I love what you're doing. I love, seeing how the Lord and His Spirit is active in your life, the life of your family. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Sam, it's always a pleasure, man. And I hope we can do this again. I think you and I could keep talking about this, so maybe we'll try for part 2 sometime. But Sam, thank you, my friend. Thanks for the great work you're doing at Compassion. And real quick, people listening, Sam, are you okay if people follow you? Can I give a pitch for people to come follow you?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Go
Twitter,
for it.
Instagram, at Sam_Hoover, or definitely follow Compassion for great stories about how God is at work around the world. There's some really cool things happening on their channels as well. So, all right, man. Thank you, Sam. Great to spend some time with you.
Thanks, Matt. We'll talk to you later.
USMB is delighted to be a partner in the Bless Your Pastor movement to help churches show and share God's love with their pastors, who faithfully serve and love the people in their congregations. The Bless Your Pastor initiative, created by the National Association of Evangelicals, is an opportunity for your church to take seriously the call to care for your pastor. Visit usmb.org to access creative ways to bless your pastoral staff during Pastor Appreciation Month in October or this Christmas season.
Well, again, I just want to pass on my thanks to Sam. His content was just so helpful and encouraging to me personally, and I hope it was to you as well. And I think you can tell by listening. Sam's just the kind of guy that's just so much fun to spend time with. So many thanks to my good friend, Sam Hoover. And for those of you listening, this is one of those episodes where I think there's a couple pretty practical takeaways for all of us. Again, wherever you land with whoever wins the election, this is a time for us to practice what we preach, right? We, the collective we, the capital C church, we can do better than we have the past couple months and years of how we represent each other, how we represent Jesus, how we represent ourselves online. So I just encourage you to take these things that Sam talked about today to heart. Think about how the events of the next few weeks, how you want to process them, who you want to process them with, how public you want to be with your thoughts. If you do decide to share anything publicly, be sure that you pause and think about it before you just kind of do something out of anger or off the cuff. Your words really do matter. And so I just, again, I'm speaking to myself because I'm just as guilty as anyone else, but these things are important, and I hope that we, USMB family, the capital C church, can do a better job of this moving forward, because it's a very important thing. So, and again, I don't want to rehash everything too much, but some of the biggest takeaways for me were, if you want to be a good Christian online, you need to be a good Christian offline. And if you're really passionate about something online, you better be doing something about that thing when you're offline. And I think the world would be a better place if all of us did a little bit better at both of those things. So, okay, enough politics for one day, right? Again, thank you so much for listening today, wherever you are. Really grateful that you guys continue to tune in. We've got a few more shows for the rest of the year that we've already got recorded that I think you're really going to enjoy. So again, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button and join us next time for another episode. And I hope you have a really great week. Thanks again for joining us.
Thanks for listening to Lead Pods. Make sure you don't miss an episode by subscribing to our show wherever you're listening today. Learn more by visiting usmb.org. And be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We'll see you next time as we learn more practical tools to increase our impact together.